Hi, hello, and welcome. This is just going to be a random video at some point in the week because it is the end of March and I have a lot of books that I acquired in March that I would like to share with you through a March book haul. I wasn't planning on doing one all together, but I have a lot of them and I feel like if I wait till the end of next month or 2 months to put one big one together, that's going to be a lot of books to talk about. So I would rather do one big book haul now. And then if I end up acquiring any next month, I'll do a smaller one if I feel that it's necessary. The first stack that I'm going to share comes from First Book Marketplace, which is specifically a website where Title I educators can purchase incredibly discounted books for their classrooms. I was able to purchase books from them over the summer when I received a grant from a local bank. Just incredibly low prices. You can get so many different hardcovers for $4, $5, $6, $7 and just really stack up your classroom library. I highly recommend it. Their customer service is incredibly easy to use, very friendly, very affordable, very fast shipping too. Something else I love on their website is their book bank. Did last summer get 30 copies, I think, of this book because I was hoping to do a young adult contemporary book elective. That didn't work out because of scheduling reasons, but it was only like $15 for the whole box of books. So I strongly recommend them for Title I educators who are looking to stock up on their classroom libraries. The second stack of books that I'm going to share is from a website that I have not used in a year because I was very disappointed with some of the things that came out last June about how they treat Black booktubers and bookstagrammers. That website is Book Outlet. The only reason that I used them again is because they did send me a coupon for being like a 1-year anniversary of using them. I was able to get a lot of things very discounted as well. I am still monitoring their progress on how they are improving their community relationships. They are definitely not my go-to. I would much rather purchase from First Book Marketplace over Book Outlet because they are specifically for educators who are looking to fill their classroom libraries. I find a lot of books on my wish list that had been on there for a long time. We're going to talk about a lot of space shit today. Alright, that's enough talking. Let's get into it so that way I can show you the book titles. The first book that I'm going to show you is actually from Amazon, and I had to order it in time to get it for our April read for our Teachergram Takeover Pop Sugar Reading Challenge, and that is The Bells. This is by Dhonielle Clayton. I have started it. I am not sure how I feel about it yet. It is a genre hybrid. There is like some steampunk, fantasy, magical realism kind of aspects to it. I think we're getting to a point where it's picking up pace and like things are starting to happen. So I will be interested to report back on this book. Up next are all the books from First Book Marketplace. They are all hardcovers except for one, which is a paperback. They are all based on different recommendations from people that I have seen that have either read them or have really loved them or have been interested in them. Again, I keep like a running Amazon wish list, and then as I purchase things, I just take it off the list. Of course, even though these are for my classroom, they are selfishly for me as well. So they will just go up here until I can make my way through them, and then once I am done, they will make their way into my classroom. First up is Maybe He Just Likes You by Barbara D. I saw this, I think, last summer, and it is, from what I remember, about a 7th grade girl who she is being teased and picked on by a boy, and everyone just keeps telling her, like, well, maybe he just likes you, maybe he just likes you, that's why he keeps teasing you and picking on you. And it kind of breaks down the message of why that's not okay, right? And like, where's the line between being hurtful and flirting, right? Because 7th graders don't know that. Sometimes they think they're just being cute and lovey, but they're really being malicious. So this was a book that just stood out to me. I do not remember who recommended it, but it's been sitting on my wish list for quite a while. So I finally was able to get a copy of it for only a couple of bucks. I think that this will be a hard book to keep on my bookshelf at school. Up next is a hardcover copy of The Beautiful Struggle by Ta-Nehishi. I have not read this. I am really interested in it. It is short, it is sweet, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful memoir. I do not know a ton about this book, but in April I am planning on reading Between the World and Me, so I thought that these would be really nice companions to read together and then be able to bring this into my classroom and share with my students. Up next is The Cannon's Edge by Dusti. I have read The Momentous Events of the Life of a Cactus. Yes. And that was a really, really good book. I really enjoyed it. This was heavily recommended by Sandy. She read it in a day. It is a novel in verse, so I think it'll be a really fast read. It is about adventure. It is also about grief. From what I understand, is some serious trauma in there of losing her mother, going on an adventure, and then like getting lost in a canyon. It says that there are twists, there are turns, there's suspense, there is adventure. I am very much looking forward to it, and I think this is going to be a fantastic, fast read. Up next is Something to Say. This is by Lisa Moore Ramee. I really only purchased this because in my classroom I used A Good Kind of Trouble for our social justice book club this year, and the kids really, really enjoyed her writing, so I wanted to add something else that was from her just to add it to our shelves so that way they had something else to go and read by her. This is a story about friendship and finding courage and family values, and I just think that students are absolutely going to love this book. Up next is Sanctuary by Paola, Mendoza, and Sher. Reading the back of this reminds me a little bit of Internment. It is a slight dystopian. They have just left Colombia. Everyone living in the United States has an identification chip implanted in their wrist, and it gives all of the information about them: ID number, blood type, birthplace, medical history. Basically, by scanning their wrist, they can tell if they are an illegal resident or a legal resident. It's all about lies and survival, and it just sounds like a fantastic read. I know that this was an option for book club, and I was a little disappointed it wasn't chosen because I had really been looking forward to reading it, and I just decided to get my own copy of it and read it on my own. Next is Early Departures. This is by Justin A. Reynolds. I had seen this kind of floating around, but I didn't know what it was about. In this book, Jamal is the main character, and he has saved his friend Q's life, but Q doesn't know it. There is a chance with a new kind of healthcare that Q could be reanimated, but it would only be for a short time before he dies again. Not only is Jamal dealing with Q and his situation, but his parents had previously passed in a car accident, so there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of death, there's a lot of grief that's happening throughout this book. Jamal sounds like he's incredibly determined to make things right with Q and try to like fix things before he dies for real. Sounds really interesting. I did not realize how big that this book was, but I think the plot of it sounds fantastic enough to just keep me going through. Up next is All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I have heard numerous wonderful, gorgeous things about this book, and I just haven't gotten it yet, and now I finally have a copy of it. So it is a story about a queer black boy growing up and his questioning his masculinity and questioning his queerness and questioning his blackness. There's a lot of different complexities in this book, and it is a memoir. This is something that I have heard nothing but wonderful things about, so I'm really looking forward to getting to this at some point on my shelf. Up next is Everybody Looking by Candice Iloh. I don't know anything about this. The cover is gorgeous. I've seen it everywhere. That's it. That's all I know. The main character, Ada, leaves for college, and it sounds like it is an entire novel about exploration and like learning who she is and not letting a predestined kind of idea affect who she is and who she wants to be. Like, she can just experience everything and anything and choose her own path in life. This sounds like it's going to be another fantastic read. I feel like all of these are just going to be awesome. Up next is another middle level book. It is called The Campaign by Leila Sales. The cover just looked good. I'm assuming it's about like some kind of school campaign. Not at all. It is actually about someone who is running for mayor who has decided that they are going to cut the funding for the arts program. Maddie, the main character, who is in 7th grade, decides that she is going to protest the campaign and try to convince them why the money for the arts needs to be there. One of my favorite things this year has been reading specific middle level books and then sharing them with students, because once they read them, they absolutely love them. And I feel like this is going to be another top book that won't stay on my shelf for very long. Up next is Peacemaker by Joseph Bruchac. This is a thinner book. I've been trying to add a little bit more of Indigenous authors onto my shelf. This is one, I believe it won an award or was a runner-up for an award, so it had been added to my wish list at one point when we were talking about like different book awards, and I just never got a chance to get it. What I love about this is that it's about the Five Nations, specifically about the Iroquois tribe, which is very local to where I grew up, so that just makes my heart really happy to see them represented in such a beautiful covered book, and I hope that the story is just as gorgeous. I've talked before about how much I love to buy books based on their cover, and these next 3 books are absolutely no exception. Next is Cinderella is Dead by Kalynn Bayron. I don't know. Most of these books I don't know anything about. I just bought them because I love the covers. This book looks like it is all about teen girls bringing down the king, and I am like here for that entirely. Up next is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I know a little bit about this. I've heard a lot of reviews about it, people saying that it's just a really great story where her mom dies and then she kind of discovers like this gift that she has, and it's almost like a transportation into like a different, there's like the layers of like our world, and then there's like this magical other kind of world that happens underneath. And so that's pretty much all I know about it, but this is just another gorgeous cover, and I'm really excited to get into this one. Up next is Furia by Yamile, Saied, Mendez. And it's another one I didn't know anything about, but quickly looking at the summary, it is about a girl who is living a double life. She's being the good girl for her parents and doing what is expected and upholding the role that a daughter should play. But at the same time, she has these football dreams, these soccer dreams. She wants to go, she wants to play, she wants to be so good at what she does. I have some kiddos this year who are huge soccer kids, and I think that I'm going to have to read this one pretty soon to get it to them, to let them borrow it before the end of the year. It says at the bottom that this will resonate with anyone who has been told she can't have it all, especially those who have gone out of their way to get it anyway. Next is actually an anthology, and it is called The Talk: Conversations About Race, Love, and Truth. This is edited by Wade Hudson and Cheryl Willis Hudson, and inside it's short, it's sweet, but there's different images and there's written word. But it's just a compilation of different 30 diverse stories that deal with race, love, and truth throughout. Up next are the 15 books that I got from Book Outlet. Most of this is going to be space shit. I know nothing about any of the books that I got, except for one of them. Other than that, these are things that I, at some point in time, put on a wish list and then forgot about. First up is Tyler Johnson Was Here by J. Coles. I remember hearing about this, but I don't remember from who, and I don't remember what it's about. In this book, twins Marvin and Tyler are very different. Marvin is very reserved, where Tyler is very outgoing, and he's very charming and charismatic. Their father is absent. That's kind of left a hole in their hearts, but they try to fill it in different ways. One night, both boys decide to go to a party, one by choice and one not so much by choice. But when they are at this party, there's a police raid that happens, and then Tyler goes missing. They can't find him anywhere. Their mom starts to fall apart. There becomes this hashtag that's like trying to help find him, and it's just a lot of mystery and suspense of what has happened post the police raid and the party. Up next is The Running Dream by Wendelin van Draanen. I have heard wonderful things about this story. The main character, Jessica, is a runner, but then she gets in a really tragic accident and they have to amputate her leg. She ends up getting a prosthetic, and it's all about that journey of learning to run again and like learning to feel confident in yourself. Having something that tragic happen to you at such a young age and having to learn to pick yourself up and know that like life isn't over and that you can still accomplish incredibly hard things. That's hard, but I feel like this is going to be such an inspirational story. And I love the cover, how it's like erased out, like they're trying to erase the pen out. That just says so much about what this book is going to have in store. I have talked about this series before. I love this series. It has been forever since I've read it. I have the first 2 at school. I need to get all 4 of them for myself, selfishly. But it is the Unwind series by Neal Shusterman, and I got the 3rd one, Unsouled, because I have a student right now who is currently reading Unwind. He is about to move on to the 2nd one. I got the 3rd one for him for like $2, so now I'm just on the hunt for the 4th one again to add it to my classroom. Up next is The Serpent King by Jeff Settner. This is another one I've heard really awesome things about, but I know nothing about, so of course I added it to my wish list, because why not? Dill and his 2 friends, Travis and Lydia, are like not the most popular people in school, kind of social outcasts. He eventually starts to fall for Lydia, and just it's kind of like wrapping up high school years and like getting ready for what's next. Interesting contemporary, because usually everything ends on such a happy note of, oh, we graduated high school, no, we did it, we're successful. But I wonder if this is going to actually end that way with some of the things that it says that has happened in his life so far. Up next is A Girl Like That by Tanaz Bathana. This was added to my wish list because I like the cover. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really intrigued by the cover. It's about a 16-year-old girl who's kind of troublemaker. You don't want to get involved with that girl. Oh, how do Zarin and Porus end up dead in a car together on a highway in Saudi Arabia? That's not what I was expecting at all from this book, but I'm extra intrigued now. I put this on my wish list, and I'm pretty sure that Liz is the one who recommended this, but it is The Borden Murders, and I think that this is a nonfiction book about the Lizzie Borden trials, of which Liz and I were joking around that we were going to buy the Borden house that was for sale not too long ago and turn it into an Airbnb. We clearly didn't go through with that plan, but I think that this will intrigue many of my kids who are like super into thrillers and crime and things like that. I remember learning about this in 8th grade, so they can definitely handle it. This book, I think, has been on my wish list for like 2 years, maybe a year and a half, but it is We'll Fly Away by Brian Bliss. It's about two friends who want to get out of their debt. I said that I was going to make it a goal to read a little bit more science fiction, a little bit more space stuff. I am slowly working on it, but that's why I acquired these books, was because I need to have them physically present in order to make my goal happen. So I know absolutely nothing about these books. Uppercase YA had a whole post about like space or science fiction stuff, and since that was a goal, of course I added all of them to my wish list and then went on Book Outlet to see how many of them I could find there. And I found 8 of them, so I purchased 8, and I think they were all under $5. I was like trying to keep it to a very specific limit. So I know nothing about these books. Here we go. First up is Sanctuary by Karen Licks. The main character, Kenzie, there's a routine drill. She is taken hostage. At first, she's confident that they're going to get free, but then not so much. So she has to form her own plan to escape. Next is Invictus by Ryan Draanen. This takes place in 2354. He is the son of a time traveler. His very existence defies nature. He ends up failing the government test to get the job that he wants, and because he fails it, he ends up taking up a job on the black market where he captains a time-traveling crew to steal valuables from the past. That's intriguing. I'm intrigued. Up next is Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray. This is about a soldier and a machine. Okay, so there is a girl who's a soldier trying to protect her planet. There is an advanced programming. He has advanced programming. He has advanced programming that's begun to evolve and wants to protect his creator. The two of them are enemies in an interstellar war, but they are forced by chance to work together. So it sounds like it's going to be some kind of enemies to lovers kind of thing. Next is Contagion by Erin Bowman. I'm worried. I'm worried about this. It just talks a lot about some kind of thing that gets into a crew. It's some kind of thing that gets into like a work detail. There is a crew that has to go respond to the SOS. They try to piece together what could decimate an entire operation. Monsters in space. Up next is A Conspiracy of Stars by Olivia A. Cole. Octavia has only ever had one goal: to follow in her parents' footsteps and become a scientist. But something isn't right with the new leader of the council. There is an attack of the indigenous people on a planet. The council's hiding something. So it sounds like there are some secrets to be uncovered, a plot to be destroyed. Up next is Stolen Time. This is by Danielle Rollins. This book is more in a near future. It takes place in 2077. So it starts in 1913, where Dorothy is forced to marry a wealthy man, and she sneaks away from her wedding and disappears. but then she ends up in the future in 2077. She runs into Ash, who is on a mission to rescue a professor. There's like vicious gangs, things are being torn apart. So some time travel. Interesting. That's not quite what I thought that it was going to be about, but again, I didn't know what any of these were going to be about, so that's fine. The final two books are companions. I don't know if this is a series or a duology, but I got the Mortal Coil and This Cruel Design. These are both by Emily Suvada. I have seen different postings about these. Hi. But I don't know anything about them. Shocking. That's been pretty much the premise of this entire video. Katrina is a hacker. She can cripple mainframes and break through firewalls. Her father is killed. She thinks that it's just a lie from the enemy, but she finds out that that's obviously true. It did happen. And she has to like decide who she's going to trust and try to save the human race. And then, of course, the book continues where the nightmare of the outbreak is over. I don't know what that means, but okay. I think she's just still trying to figure out how to process everything that's happened. I mean, I'm sure there's other stuff that happens, but I don't really know, and I don't want to give too much away for myself. So these are the final two books that I got in March. That was all 30 books. I am setting a goal for myself that I'm allowed to purchase like 3 books next month, and that's it. And if I happen to get books as gifts or donated or whatever, I will share those, but I am on a book buying ban for a month. I need to get some self-control. So this was just an extra video for this week to show you some of the things I've acquired recently. Let me know if there's anything that I purchased that you have read and your thoughts about them, because a lot of these books I'm going into totally blindsided, have no idea about them, bought most of them because I like their covers. As always, thanks for watching these videos, and I will see you on Saturday for a regularly scheduled video.